Like I said, age was a barrier, right? So, why would somebody actually like just get up? What if because a 22-year-old kid is saying, hey, come on, I don't fix a meeting. Why the transaction deal is 5 crores, 6 crores? Nobody's going to take it. Can I, open a restaurant and this and that? And he's like, boss, that's a different line altogether. Why would you want to do it? There's so much we are into that. We were not in construction at that point. And he said, I want you to get into construction. City image changing was happening in that phase of 2010, 11, 12. All of that. And
that was the time IT coming, booms happening.
Everything. All the IT parks, all the, Pune probably was a 4 or 5 story. When we started going to like skyscrapers, 20 stories and everything. So FSI dynamics and all these things started changing then. So for me, it was still a big deal. So he said that देखो करना है तो साथ में कर दो.
अच्छा.
And that was the biggest step because I think without him it wouldn't have happened. I'll tell you why. Because he could convince my dad. I couldn't.
Correct.
So dad said ठीक है तुमको करना है साथ में तो तुम करो.
You want काहीतरी potential.
हाँ. So it was. He's already worked with my dad. He kind of validated my idea. So he's like, he gave my dad that confidence. You all don't worry. Me and him will do it. Look at this thing. I've never seen a view like this in Pune. At that time, this was the tallest building, the tallest commercial building in Pune. And we were on the 14th floor and you could see the whole city from all sides. Backside is Kalyani Nagar and Kharadi and all of that was coming up. Then Amanora, Bagarpatta ka phase. You could see this side. You could see the whole city with Pune, like green completely. On the right side, you're seeing like the mountains. Then we started. I said, okay, this looks like a penthouse to me. Like, let's call it a penthouse. I said, this is how the main 2 floors, rooftop, everything. And then that's how penthouse honestly came up.
Okay.
In an Armani hotel, and there's a Bollywood night. I said, we shy out of Bollywood in India. Being such a big industry, these guys are making it like premium. Back in the time when Shantai just started, it used to have a coffee shop.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was no name to the coffee shop, but it was just written there that coffee shop Raasta Pit. So I said I'll call it Raasta Cafe.
Raasta Cafe. It was more like with the Rastafari.
It evolved like that.
Yeah.
The name started from there. An IRONMAN competition, which is like 4 kilometers of swimming, 180 kilometers of cycling, and then a full marathon, 42 kilometers. So I said, boss, what is this? This is not a sport. I think this is like punishment, torture. Ki tulata hi karaya lao tumi, So I said, but how is it possible? He's like, don't think about this. Like, the conversations were different. When I met people over a coffee, people who came from a run or a workout or whatever,
right,
at 6 in the morning and 7 in the morning. Before the whole probably like 90% of the population wakes up.
Yeah.
They're like out there and done that. So, these people are different. And I loved the conversations. It was more, productive conversations. Very well prepared because it's the first time I'm doing it. We had a team that was doing the race with us. So it was nice to go to the new country. We met a lot of other athletes from all over the world. It was very motivating. We started the race. But honestly, like I said, it was the first time and I started getting cramps in the middle of the water. And trust me, I didn't know what to do.
Hey, hi Kunal.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on Kai Bolta Hai today.
Great, it's a pleasure.
आज एक special episode with Mr. Kunal, hotelier, leading businessman, entrepreneur, and real estate. Now you're venturing into real estate.
Yeah.
So firstly, welcome to Kai Bolta Hai from the whole team.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here. Are you comfortable?
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, the weather's amazing today, so
Yes.
and this place is nice as well. It's a good shot.
Thank you so much. So shout out to Akash for this place. But definitely, see, when we hear Kunal Mhaske, okay, places like Penthouse, Coco, Pesto Pesto, all this pop up, okay. So now the introduction is like meeting the man behind all this, the visionary, the pioneer, I'll say, the early times when Pune mein, when all these places came up. Because that was a very changing time for Pune.
Yeah.
Because KP was hardly developing.
Yeah.
There were no good malls.
Yeah.
People wanted to, go party. And party was only possible in Mumbai.
Right.
We had used places there. Okay. And at that time, you were in UK.
Yeah.
Yep. So how did that journey happen? Like, what was that thought of starting this?
So, okay, so there's a lot of things that we can talk about, but long story short, so I finished my studies in the UK. honestly, everybody has, plans as you're in the school or then you go into college and then eventually the university. But not that, it has to go the way you've planned always, right?
Right.
So I went with the flow. I mean, honestly, my intention to go abroad to study was purely exposure.
Okay.
Job was never an, option for me. I always had to get back to my family business.
Right.
So I just went with a very open mind.
So for what education did you go?
So I did my undergrads in business management and HR as majors.
Okay.
And I did my master's in sustainability and management.
Okay.
So I was there in total about 4.5 years. Then I started studying. I went actually at a very early age. I was 17 when I was in the UK. Started my college and everything. And honestly, I realized that it is definitely not as our Indian, education pattern.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of free time. The lectures were precisely, you go to college only for that lecture. Yeah. It was 4 days of a college. So, obviously living in the UK, like I had to kind of fight for myself with my father because he was not so keen to go and study there for like 5 years. He was like, you want to go there for a year or whatever. Like, back in the time, everybody was thinking like this only. For the parents also, it's like you finish your degree and get to work.
If he goes and then he'll not come back from.
That was one of his thoughts when I said 4 years. But eventually, like I did get a chance, I went. And, obviously at that point, I was like, okay, so I have to be a very responsible child, because I've literally fought for this and he's trusted me. So I can't, mess around.
Yeah.
So started exploring and I've always been a little inquisitive kind of a person. So told my dad that, this is the thing. And my dad was straightforward. He's like, I've sent you for education. You want to work? There's a lot of work here.
Well, how was that conversation like? Because, you have something in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you feel, 4 years I've spent. Yeah. Let's do this. Yeah. Maybe, because see, that time you don't know what's going to be in future for you, correct?
It was a tough conversation. I'll tell you why. Because that wasn't the great time for a family business in the country. So, the expense was pretty high.
Right.
My dad had funded my education and my stay. So, for him, it was only like, boss, enough now, just come back.
And because time was this? What era was
this? This was between 2004 to 2009. And that was the time when the market was a little tight here. A little bit recession was happening globally.
I think 2008 recession was...
Yeah, this was the same time. And even us, like as family business, we had done some big investments. And then, the returns hadn't started coming. So there was a lot of cash flow situation here. And also, I think my dad was in his phase where my brother was taking over the business and my dad's also in politics. So he was kind of focusing more on that. So he just wanted me to come back. So he's like, nothing doing, just come back. Probably that expense stops and here, you just start helping my brother like with the business. That was his kind of mindset.
Correct.
So I didn't get that opportunity. I had to come back and then I started working with him. Again, like I said, it was too early because I think I finished my master's at the age of 21.
Okay.
And I came back and he directly put me into, the office and said that, okay, now you learn. So it was too vast for me. I said, what do I learn? So it was not like a retail counter that, you go and sit on the counter and then business is happening and you start learning. Because Hotels Ranjit was taking care of my brother. And my dad was like, okay, so we have a parallel real estate business, like look into it. And I said, what do I look into it? So he's like, okay, this is the guy who does the legal work. This is the guy who handles the paperwork, acquisition process and everything.
Right.
Just be with them. And obviously there's a lot of court things that go on or like, you have to go to the government office for registration of a document or Sadbara banwaisa, kai paperwork banwaisa. He's like, learn all of this. And back in the time, so all the documents were predominantly again in Marathi. So that was a challenge for me, I could read but very slow, but writing was even more difficult. So I said, okay, and then the documents are big and fat and most of them are handwritten and all of these things. So I started finding it a very tough challenge because all of a sudden coming from a very organized 4 years of life, to directly do this. I said, it's a danger. And I started going to these offices and apna court la jaun tarike. But the bigger challenge for me was that nobody was taking me seriously. I was too young. 20 was आले की बसा 2-2 तास बसलोय 3-3 तास बसलोय मग ते ठीक आहे काम करा तुमच्या त्या माणसाला पाठवा. It was not like
seriously only bhaiya.
Yeah, I mean, because frankly even I was lacking of a bit of a knowledge, and if you're sitting and talking to somebody who's 50 years old who's been doing that property work for like 30 years And I've just joined and I'm asking questions. He probably must have said that what is he going to ask me? Or, it's probably stupid that he's asking me.
Right.
So I used to really like kind of control myself ki theek hai kasam 5-6 वाजतील and बंद होईल बस बघू मग काय करायचं. So that started happening, and again like I used to always get these flashbacks that I used to go and work in this place. It was so nice. I used to that restaurant I used to work was so nice. I even worked for some retail brands like Hugo Boss and all. I said it was so nice sitting there, and then every weekend used to get paid and all of that. I said, here though, now obviously it's a family business.
But were you getting paid in the family business in the start? Or?
Paid family business is it's technically our business, expenses are taken care of, but it's not like my money that I can just access.
So obviously your dad was training.
Yeah.
आणि तेव्हा एक असं असतं की यार आधी पैसे नाही, आधी काम.
No, and it was not, my job was not earning money. My job was more admin.
Exactly, yeah.
So त्याच्यात असं काय, I had nothing to show my dad the results. That look, I've gone and done this and money's come in, that he would reward me with something.
But any point of time during this phase of yours, did you feel ki, yaar, what am I doing? Why am I back? Or,
Yeah, every day. I'm telling you, every day.
Important too.
Yeah, because see, I told you, right, that every day contradiction of living in a 4-year structure where everything was system-oriented. And here, probably everything is contact-oriented.
Right.
You have to know somebody.
Exactly.
So, and then I used to find it awkward also, to be very honest. That, why am I always have to make a call and say that, sir, bola यांच्याशी, असं काम करून द्या. Why can't I just go there and sit and get my job done?
Correct.
So, it was a constant fight with myself, here, boss, what am I doing? Like, where is this heading?
Where is this?
Achha, it's not even like my dad gave me like a task, ki, हे झाल्यानंतर बघू काय.
बरोबर.
It was just like, okay, do. And, then I said, okay, fine, this I'm doing, let me try and do a little bit of side hustle. Like everybody has that.
करना पड़ेगा यार.
खुद का कुछ करने का is always there, right?
Where you find a passion, interest.
So in that between, I was like, okay, chalo, let me try and do my own land trading with this. I know this friend who wants a land. I know this person who tried to. But honestly, I must have done this kind of 2 years of having meetings. किसको बेचने का, ऐसा खरीदने का. And I was like, you get commission and this and that. I realized this is a proper job.
Meetings
म्हणजे हे फक्त एकामेकांना जोडून पैसे मिळत नाही. You have to get deep down, find his problem, find a solution for him, find his problem, find a solution, and then get these guys together.
And getting them also is a challenge.
Yeah.
Getting them together for a meeting is the biggest challenge.
Yeah. And again, like I said, age was a barrier, right? So, why would somebody actually like just get up only because a 22-year-old kid is saying, hey, come on, I'll fix a meeting. Why the transaction deal is 5 crores, 6 crores. Nobody's going to take it. So I let it go. Like I still learned a lot of things. It was honestly like a nice learning phase.
But you were making contacts at...
Yeah. So, at least I started understanding the Indian systems. I started knowing the office. That was a very big plus point for me when, the other friends of mine who probably not even experienced. A lot of people, I'm telling you, like still don't know, how these things work.
Nice.
They feel even a document registration is a big deal today.
Yeah.
You need a lawyer, you need this and that and blah blah blah. But
पौडला जा पहिलं म्हणजे
सगळंच म्हणजे आणि अजूनही tough but it is challenging. A lot of people who like do these proper typical 9 to 5 jobs or working for multinationals and everything, for them this is completely different. It is not, there's no email, the system that works. असं काय मी मेल टाकला, रिप्लाय आला, हे केलं ते केलं, काही नाही, still manual, So luckily I got the experience of that. But that thing started hitting me that boss, I need to do something of my own. Like I have to have that space where I can do what I've probably grown up with, which was these peak 5 years of my life. That I need to connect with that. I mean, that is something that I really found my connect, because again, the biggest reason was that I lived alone, right? So when you start doing things by yourself,
right,
it teaches you a lot of things in a very different way. Today also, if you're running a house, that is work.
Yes.
But when you have to do the same thing by yourself, is a different kind of work, Today you have people to get it done. And yes, you're monitoring them, you're managing them. But everything doing it by yourself was a different...
independent.
Yeah. So, it was like I have to get into that zone. Something is not working out for me. I'm not thriving in what I'm, doing. Yes, money might be there.
Yeah.
Support is there from my family. It was not that difficult also, because obviously we were in that business. Dad would make calls. It was way easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for some reason I was not thriving. Then I spoke to my dad that, okay, can I, open a restaurant and this and that? And he's like, boss, that's a different line altogether. Why would you want to do it? There's so much we are into that. We were not in construction at that point. And he said, I want you to get into construction.
But hotels,
Hotels were there. Like I said, Rajit completely took over the hotels and he was handling it very nicely and and he had done hotel management. So he's a pro in that and he's doing it really well. So for me, it was like, he's like, no, now for you, I'm planning we should do a real estate business with construction.
Okay.
And like I said, again, it's too big a business. That time, you're this builder and that builder. That was the peak era of Pune developing. The city image changing was happening in that phase of 2010, 11, 12. All of that. And
that was the time IT coming, booms happening.
Everything. All the IT parks, all the, Pune probably was a 4 or 5 story.
Absolutely.
When we started going to like skyscraper stories and everything. So FSI dynamics and all these things started changing then. So for me, it was still a big deal.
Right.
So I said, I'm not probably prepared to, do this. Yes, I would be in this. I'm not saying I don't want to.
Right.
But I need something that it's of my level and my capacity. That I can take my own decisions, run my own this thing and stuff like that. So I asked him, and it was a little bit of, again, a convincing process for him and stuff like that. So he's like, Teko karna hai, tu kar. I'm not going to clarify. Yeah, he's like, but whatever your plan is, you do it yourself. So luckily in this whole phase, is one of these guys who used to work with my dad on other aspects. He also used to, his age was exactly between me and my dad. So I could speak to him very openly, and whenever he came to the office, I said, yeah, I want to do this restaurant. Are London mein aisa hai, waisa hai, idhar chalega, ye hoega, wo hoega. So he said that teko karna hai to saath mein karte.
Acha.
And that was the biggest step, because I think without him it wouldn't have happened. I'll tell you why. Because he could convince my dad. I couldn't.
Correct.
So dad said, ठीक है, तुमको करना है साथ में तो तुम करो.
He wanted kaitri potential.
So it was, he's already worked with my dad. He kind of validated my idea.
Bollywood.
So he's like, he gave my dad that confidence. You all don't worry, me and him will do it.
Okay.
I'll invest, he'll whatever, and then later on we'll figure out on this thing and everything. So dad made it very clear, तुम तो करना है करो, मेरे पास आने का नहीं ये चीज के लिए. I said okay. Then we started setting up this thing. At that point I couldn't tell my dad nightclub is the plan.
Yeah.
I said restaurant.
Direct form
Restaurant. We had internally decided.
You wanted to start a nightclub?
Yeah.
But the idea was to say कि restaurants all over, right?
Yeah. So basically, I had to kind of balance with my family, image, lifestyle, and this thing, dad's a little more particular about spending a lot of family time. So obviously, if I would have told him directly, this is the thing, then he would have got late nights, then obviously culture, and the biggest factor of what will people say.
Yes.
That
kya kahenge syndrome.
What kind of business is this? Because it doesn't culturally still fit. Still seen the recent episode that has happened and the backlash that comes with this. It is honestly, even coming from the business side of it, it is so contradicting that everybody wants to be a part of it.
Yes.
But when it comes to showing some support, everybody runs away.
Exactly.
Now, government, they want the taxes from us. But then they'll come and say, ऐसा नहीं है, ये क्या culture खराब हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है. So see, it's so confusing, this kind of business. But anyway, coming from the UK and seeing events business going so big everywhere, like brands like Tomorrowland popping out at that time, Sunburn was picking up here, and seeing so much of great response to this. DJs who never really got their, respect was coming out because India was so dominated with Bollywood. And then only the singers were the stars there, or only the musicians from there were the stars there. But obviously, today's culture where DJs are producing music, electronic music coming out, was growing all over the world. So I said there's always been like, India is always following what's happening abroad in all aspects. So this is also something that is going to go. And then, not just me, like before me also, there were a lot of people who done this business in different cities. Pune was evolving. There were places like Stonewater Grill coming up.
Stonewater Grill was the place.
So, and it was such a nice thing. Even way before that, there was a place called Elbow Room or Evo's. all these places, and it's been nice.
And long back we had some like Fire and Ice was there, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was nice. So I said, why not elevate it? Like it's there, and there is great potential.
Right.
So I started exploring that, but I said, okay, I don't know much.
This was what year?
This is 2011ish.
11ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, okay, let's explore. I was not very Kimala Sagala Karta. I said, let's study this. I'm not going blindly into it. So let's try and see if we can get some brand who's already done it. We can talk to them and then kind of partner with them, or get somebody who's been in this business. Like, these are the conversations I have to have with this a person who's my dad's friend and who was ready to partner with me. And then we started exploring it. So we met A.D. Singh from Bombay, who has Olive, and he had just launched a brand called Lap in Delhi.
Okay.
So I said, let's go and talk to him. Arjun Rampal was a part of that brand as well. So that was one thing. Then second was FTV was looking at opening bars and lounges.
Right.
They were kind of evolving around. There was one. So back in the time, we thought, let's talk to them also. So we explored a lot of options. But like I said, what happened is people did respond. But we still had that thing that, these guys are too new. Like, why would we work with these people? Like, who are they? Who's going to run the show? What experience do they have?
Right.
So we had a lot of meetings with a lot of brands, which went on for 6-8 months. And eventually, we were kind of turned down from a lot of people. Or either they tried to exploit. They're saying that, "Karne ka nahi, itna paisa do aur karo."
And like exorbitant price.
Yeah. So they were either like, कि हमको पैसा दो, अपने को अपना पैसा मिल रहा है, इनको करने दो जो करना है.
Right.
So that phase happened. And then we just sat one day like, क्या करना है यार, क्या हो रहा है? Then him and me had a conversation. He's like, let's start. We'll start our own brand. जो होगा वो. You know what you want to do. I'm for it with this business. Let's do it.
Right.
So we started scouting for properties, and again going around and round and round. We're not getting the right place because we had to make sure the licenses are in place.
Correct.
We had to make sure that there's no nuisance value.
Right.
Stonewater was the benchmark. That size, was like, okay,
grand.
Itna bada hoke bhi it's crowded, and we still have aaj entry nahi mil raha hai, ye nahi mil raha hai. So I said there is potential, right? Let's work on that scale only then. And one random day, this building was there, Onyx, and some work popped up in one of the offices there. And I said, okay, let's go and, meet that person. And that person said that, okay, he wanted to actually take a break.
Right.
So he's like, niche nahi jate, come, we'll go on the terrace. So we went up. And we just sat, and I sat there, and I could see the whole city from there.
Yeah.
I said, look at this thing. I've never seen a view like this in Pune. It's at that time, this was the tallest building, the tallest commercial building in Pune. And we were on the 14th floor, and you could see the whole city from all sides. Backside is Kalyani Nagar and Kharadi, and all of that was coming up. Then Amanora, Bagarpatta ka phase, you could see this side. You could see the whole city with Pune, like green completely. On the right side, you're seeing like the mountains, And then I said, what a view.
Road of that goes.
Yeah, and I said, what a view. I said, imagine having something here.
Yeah.
And he's like, yaar, aisa to rooftop kuch hai nahi Pune mein. So I said, okay, let's check out. And then I went in a little bit details, kiska property hai, what it is, and it was ABI's project. So I got in touch. Amit was there. So I said, he's the right person to talk because Amit already had from Waterview.
Yeah.
I said, let's talk to him and see if there's any chance. And he said, yeah, we have got this project. We're selling the property. If you're keen, take it up and do whatever you want. Yeah, 100%. He was very positive. I said, okay, great. Chalo, let's start. Then, obviously, we couldn't buy the property, but I said, Amit, would you rent it out? And he said, yeah, 100%. Took it on rent. Then we got really excited कि यार वो सी कुछ अलग बन रहा है, क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना है. Rooftop, then challenges कि ये open रहेगा, corporation allow नहीं करेगा cover करने को. So what do we need to do? So there was another floor available below it.
Okay.
We spoke to them also. They said, okay, we also want to give it for rent. It worked out really well, but करते करते हम लोग को realize कि ये बहुत बड़ा बन गया. So we kind of dedicated ourselves to this. That I said, okay, now let's do a good project. We got the right consultants on board. We got the right people to tell us what model we can fit. So we said, okay, what's lacking in a restaurant segment in Pune? Because that time, Olive said that we will come to Pune.
Okay.
But not in the nightlife format. We would like to come as a restaurant. So I went and spoke again to him. That I said, would you want to come in as a restaurant, this thing? Right. He's like, no, Kunal, I'm looking at something ground floor. I said, okay, fair enough. Then we got this consultant award called Karen Anand. She was a very well-known chef at that point. She used to review all the restaurants. I said, okay, she's got amazing experience. You see, I asked her, like, she was actually friend's mother. So I said, okay, let's talk to her. And she said, yeah, we would love to be a part of this project. She came on board. So she kind of helped us identify this pocket where I said, okay, there are Italian restaurants in Pune. They're doing really well. There was La Pizzeria, there's Dario's, all these things, but pure veg.
Yeah.
So I said, okay.
It was pure veg.
Yeah, and even Dario's.
Yeah, that is also, yes.
So I said, okay, then there's a gap that, okay, we can do a proper, good Italian non-vegetarian restaurant.
Right.
So that happened. Then Pesto Pesto also came into a picture because that time it was not as a plan.
Correct.
Because of the property and because of talking to so many people, this evolved.
Right.
Again, dedicated completely. I said, okay, let's do this. Dad got a little excited that, okay, it's not just a random thing that you're talking about. It's coming up in a good building with good people, a good project. So he said, okay, go ahead with it, do it. Then we started. I said, okay, this looks like a penthouse to me. I'm like, let's call it penthouse. I said, this is how the 2 floors, rooftop, everything. And then that's how penthouse honestly came up.
Okay.
And yeah, the journey was not easy because obviously whenever I used to talk about this, people were like, are you mad? Kaun aayega itna upar?
Exactly, because ground floor was the concept.
Yeah, ground floor was the concept.
Main road touch.
And I was like, everywhere in the world, like you travel, these are the places which are premium. Like going on a rooftop. You've never heard about a 20th floor pe sada restaurant kisne banaya. It's not like just a regular food joint.
Correct.
They've always been premium segments. Right? So I said, why not in Pune? And look at the spot. I said, I was in love with that place.
True.
I said, why wouldn't somebody like to party here?
Right.
With under the sky, like with this view.
Amazing.
So we were confident, but dar lagta tha. That when the pioneers used to come and tell us that, yaar, itna bada, kaun aayega itna upar, kaise karega, theek hai. And then obviously that thing was that, अरे इसको क्या कमी है, डैड का पैसा है, समझेगा बाद में क्या कर रहा है ये, ऐसे बहुत आए and both गए, so many places open.
Correct.
There's a lot of conversations, but honestly, luckily this partner of mine was very supportive. And we did a lot of Reiki while traveling also. So when we said rooftop, we did go abroad, went to Dubai, checked out some offices, went back to London. I showed him this is the kind of thing and everything. And then confidence badne lag gaya. And then that's how we started there. I mean, we started, I got a great team. My first core team was actually from Calcutta.
Okay.
Who was, my operations manager was from there. The bartenders came from there. Also because Calcutta had a very nice rooftop restaurant. And in the Park Hotel there back in the time. And they had that vision,
right?
That sir karenge. Somebody connected me with them. Actually, Karen connected with them and they came down and that's how it just started. 2012 in December, we launched.
Okay.
And honestly, since then, it's no looking back.
But I have been to penthouse parties. They used to always have some nice themes. Especially I remember the Halloween.
Yeah.
Because they used to be like such nicely decorated. Everybody in costume. There used to be people.
Yeah.
Used to be especially in costume that, they made everyone feel special.
Yeah.
While coming in and even like the usual Saturday nights, Friday nights, Wednesday nights, girls' nights and everything. Especially the entry, the bar and the the lights thing that you have with the globes and
right. Back in the time.
Amazing concept to start with.
We did, in fact, so luckily what had happened is when we were talking to multiple brands, that time we used to study their model. On the panel, we have this architect.
Right.
So we actually had started getting in touch with those architects also. And one of them agreed to do it with us without the brand.
Okay.
So Sameep was the guy who was from Bombay, who gave us a fabulous design for the rooftop. Honestly, challenging. It was to set up something up there, the 12th floor with taking everything up, building that place up was really tough. So it took us a long time to build that project. I'll be very honest. It took us a really long time and learned a lot of things in this phase. Kya karna chahiye, kya karna tha, matlab nahi karna chahiye tha.
Right.
There has been disasters also. It was not needed also for us to, build such an ambitious project at that time. I mean, if I compare it with the returns.
Correct.
I could have managed to kind of make that same amount of money without spending so much on it. So those are the things that we learned in the whole due course of construction materials. Open air mein kya chalta hai. I can say I want this table. but that needs to go up on the 12th floor. Who's going to pick it up? So you say, "Arey, ठीक है, 1 lakh का table है." So उठाने को 1 lakh लगता था. We never thought about those challenges. That how is it going to go up? We need cranes, we need transport, we need people to pick it up. Lift में जाना चाहिए, उसको dismantle करना चाहिए. All these challenges, like I said, there was no focus on this when we picked the place or started. But the whole challenge of building it up was crazy. So तब तक वो ये हो गया था कि अभी ये there is no looking back. अभी जो आएगा उसको face करो और उसको let's do it. We got a great response as soon as we launched. People started loving the place. And then, I was like, अभी इसको elevate ही करना है, इसको benchmark बनाना है.
Yeah.
Then I used to travel wherever I went. I used to explore the parties there, bring in the concepts from there. Tough होता था इधर execute करने को, but we were like, okay, let's just try it. And that's, I think, what was the USP of Penthouse earlier. There will be a lot of, as you said, the theme parties and everything. In fact, the biggest thing that worked for us and was interesting was, back at the time, EDM music was on the peak. And I was like, okay, good. But we started realizing that isko yaar abhi aage kaise jana hai. What's new? And one day I was in Dubai and we happened to get a chance to stay in the Armani hotel there.
Okay.
And it was an odd night. It was a Wednesday. So I said, okay, fine. The weekend in Dubai starts from Thursday. So I said, let's just go down. They have an Armani lounge.
Yeah.
We'll just chill there. And next day we'll see what to do, where to go for party.
Right.
I was there with my family actually. So I went down. Long queue, gardi, to enter. I said, Wednesday night, like, why is it so popular? And somebody said, there's a Bollywood night there.
Oh.
I said, look at this, bloody, you're in Dubai in an Armani hotel and there's a Bollywood night. I said, we shy out of Bollywood in India. Being such a big industry, these guys are making it like premium. Yeah. Went inside, what a night, great music. The party got over and I said, let me go and appreciate the DJ playing Bollywood in Dubai. Like, it's such a nice thing. Like an unexpected good night happened, right? So went and this DJ happened to know me.
Acha.
And he's like, you're this guy from Pune or whatever. And I said, yeah. He's like, I've met you in this also destination wedding. So I said, yeah, great. I said, come to Pune, I have a place, I would love to host you there and you should play the same music exactly what you did and everything. He's like, yeah, get me a ticket, I'll fly down anytime. I said, next Wednesday. He said, yeah, done. That conversation happened in the night.
Yeah.
Got a ticket for him.
Wow.
In Pune, we announced the first Bollywood night.
Okay.
On a Wednesday night only. Yes, on a Wednesday night.
That was a ladies' night also.
No, so back in the time.
It was out there.
Wasn't. So I said, there's a pop-up Bollywood night happening. There's DJs from Dubai and we're going to do it. I was sold out. Overpacked. Overpacked. It was crazy. And that night, we replicated what we saw in Dubai. We did the same music. It was amazing. And trust me, then that became the benchmark where Penthouse started getting known for the Bollywood night. So we used to do this one night in a month.
And I think Bollywood music is something that all the girls primarily love.
Yeah.
Even can dance.
No, it is. We are Indians there. At the end of the day, it is our local stuff. You can't shy away from that. We enjoy it. Everybody opens out with Bollywood music.
Exactly.
And I said, it's just probably like very underrated. So we glamorized it. We literally made it the most premium night.
Right.
We charged people for that kind of price. Right. So it was not like, ठीक है आज कुछ नहीं तो Bollywood ऐसा नहीं किया उसको elevate किया उसको.
Correct.
We kind of set a very nice theme and everything. People really loved it. So it used to be on the level of how you would go to like a very great wedding ka Sangeet night.
Correct.
We used to take it to that level. And people loved it. People used to wear Indian clothes and come.
Exactly.
And that I think that era went on for almost 2 years. That first Wednesday of the month, there used to be like Penthouse Bollywood night where people came and it came to a point where all my tables were pre-booked by the same people every single Bollywood night. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody knew ye kiska table hai, ye kiska table hai. It was just like it was just a different phase.
Yeah. So, as we were talking, club started, Penthouse started, Pesto Pesto started. It's running smoothly. Then you invite your dad, family. What was his reaction? Like, काय म्हणले ते पहिल्यांदा बघून? आणि खरं सांग त्याच्यावर.
So, because I invited him on Tuesday. He saw the place. It was nice. His guests were invited as well. We had a great dinner and everything. He was proud, to be very honest, because like I said, Pune had not seen something like this. That any F&B business could have been elevated to this level as a standalone property. We had seen 5 stars coming up. We had seen like, places popping out. Marriott was coming up and all these things.
Right.
So premium segment was coming in this business. But, he's never been to places like these nightclubs that you mentioned previously. And he saw this and he loved it. Like, again, he probably just kind of loved the vision that I had. That, okay, he thought about something like this. It's on the top floor. And he's a fan of good views, basically. So he really liked it. He liked the vibe of the place. And then I think I could realize that he was proud of it. But at the same time, he was having that thing, but construction mein karna hai. He had a problem. Property is a business kar raha hai, So yeah, it was amazing. He loved it. He's like, "Okay, karo." But he was always very particular about do the right things, do it ethically, don't cross your line, like make sure everything is done. Because he started a hotel in 95, Shantai, so he's, built a own hotel, his own brand also. And I think everybody knows Shantai in Pune now. It's kind of always had its very specific image about how the hotel is, the restaurant is a very family-run business. So he's very particular about a lot of things. My dad has a lot of, principles that he follows with when it comes to business. It's not only business. It is with, doing it with a lot of pride. So that was something that was ingrained in us, that ki karo. But ye apna life nahi. This is part of our life. Keep it to that.
So, Kunal, as we were speaking, you've seen the evolving scene of Pune nightlife, the bars and the restaurants, being 10 years in the business. And there's this new culture of music festivals coming in. Okay, where you see recently in UK, good nightclubs have closed down. Why? Because there's this 2-3 days of culture of music festival where people are now choosing to party at least 3 days in a month, and then take a chill. And are you seeing that trend here, or what is the trend that you foresee in the coming years in Pune?
So see, nightlife for a city like Pune is always going to be there. Because so-called Pune has become the young city, right? If you see the colleges and you see the job culture in Pune also is more young population oriented, whether it's IT or tech or, these multinationals and everything. So I think in such a city, like nightlife will always be there. And this population is always more focusing on new trends and new music and new experiences. So 100%, I think it is only going to elevate. It's just that henceforth, what we've seen in Pune is where it used to be a same place, which is a restaurant or a bar or eventually a party place for people. Now there'll be a lot more specialized places that will come up, which will bring and merge with the concerts. So when these concerts actually happen and when they start promoting a concert in any city, they do a lot of pre-events. So these pre-events are like a mini concert within itself to promote the concert, also to kind of give a gist of what's happening. Where also if it's a specific nightlife place, then you have the chances to, on smaller level, bring in good artists, good musicians, good this thing. And I think people are open for it, because yes, there is a culture that you go to a concert or, a big event once or twice a month, but you still need something on the weekends, right? I mean, people who focus on, if you see Pune actually does a lot of events. Music events and stuff like that, where it's not nightlife per se, but entertainment per se, and people do respond to it. So Pune is actually a great city for something like this, to kind of focus and elevate the experience of nightlife and try not to do everything there. Try to be precise about music, about what your culture is, what your dance floor looks like, what your setup looks like, and specialize in that, focus on that, and 100% it will do amazing.
But how is the rest working late night justified?
So like I said, initially it was tough because my dad never sat at the hotel and run the business. So he used to ask me the same questions. Teko kyun rakhna padta hai udhar? Why do you have to be there? You're not a bartender. You're not sitting on the counter. You're not the manager there. So why are you there? So
it's a very good question.
He's like, why do you always tell me that I was at the restaurant and you come late? So I said, I had to tell him that, look, I'm setting up a brand. Your brand has been there. People know, and you had other things that brought people there. For me, this is the only place. So my PR is very important. I have to know my customers, and this is a very, what do you call it, like a standalone kind of a business where everything, whatever is going to happen is here.
Right.
So, and this is something that luckily I understood how Pune population was also. That Pune was a very local market.
Yes.
We're not a tourist city.
Yeah.
We're not a transit airport also that people land and leave the next day or whatever. So I said, whatever business is going to come to me is going to come from the same people. So I said, I have to keep evolving. People are not going to change.
Correct.
So every time a customer comes to my place, he should feel different and nice. So that is the reason I need to know the customer. The customer needs to know me. Pune has a very big factor of that they like to know the owner.
Yeah, exactly.
That is their comfort point of a restaurant.
अरे उधरला phone लावतो था.
Exactly. It is always like owner la phone लावतो. Even to sit and finalize a menu for a private party. He's a chef. He's worked 20 years.
Yeah.
I say, why are you asking me? This is my first time I'm doing this business. But they always like the presence of the owner. So that was the factor, that kind of something that I kept talking to him about. But yes, I think he used to only get upset that if my next day was kind of disturbed because of this thing. So I learned to balance that okay, even if I was late, I still went to my work on time in the morning. Right. So my 9 to 5 used to be the family business.
Okay.
And then post this, I used to go back to my restaurant, do it my way. So that was defined really well. But as long as I went back in the morning, he was okay.
Okay.
The minute, it started going a little haywire, something, ki kam Raila and English Zalan, Kunal Navta, and that was the time which was like this conversation. Yeah. Questions and answers. So, I think, but then amazingly, he was very supportive, always, and that's why I think I could even explore it. So he saw like the people appreciating the brand, the way the business was going. Obviously, like he knows way more people than me in the city. So people, you should tell him about my place, and he used to feel nice that, okay, somebody else is coming and telling me about this thing.
Right.
So, so it was really nice. Then, evolving out of it, he gave me an opportunity to open a restaurant within his property, which was Shanghai.
Raasta.
So, Raasta Cafe came out.
But before we go to Raasta, see, when you talk about evolution, like Pune was evolving. Yeah. But there is one evolution that even you planted.
Yeah.
And that was the party culture.
Right.
Okay, why? Because see, I think before Penthouse or, Pesto Pesto or, places like this, imagine office parties, ek log hall book karte the.
Yeah.
Usme hota tha, there was a very different tone to it.
Yeah.
There was no like this kind of a celebration that was happening. So you evolved that also. People, corporate started booking.
Yes.
Correct? The corporate nights and all that started.
Yes.
Clubs getting booked and everything.
Yes.
Plus, again, there was a new drinking culture that was slowly but steadily evolving.
Yes.
Because why people always wanted to party.
Yeah.
It's just that they didn't have such venues where they can go and, evolve. So, there was also a sense of responsibility because you had to take care, like, whatever is happening is under the limits and whatever things are happening.
Yeah.
So, how did that balance? How did you do that balance?
So, first and foremost, when we set up such a big business, it came with a lot of expenses, right? So, we had to kind of come up with ideas of how we can get this place occupied every day.
Right.
Drinking was a very weekend culture, partying was a very weekend culture. And globally we see because I was in that middle, that I never saw drinking as a taboo. And India was where drinking is a taboo even now.
Absolutely.
So I said, how do we change this? And we had to kind of make it very light. That, you're not coming here because you have a bad habit.
Right.
You're coming here for a celebration. See, look, everything has two sides. So especially drinking, people drink when they're sad also, and depression also. People drink when they're excited also. So we always kept the focus on that. That drinking is not about depression. Drinking is about celebration.
Right.
So any reason, we have 100 reasons to celebrate. It can be like two people celebrating just a beer, or like a whole family celebrating, somebody's either birthday or an achievement, or the corporate selling it for some targets that have been achieved. Right. I said we are open for all. We'll give comfort to everybody. And also that is related to my backend, right? Because my business is dependent on such a big expense I need to fill up.
Yeah.
So we kind of started putting that culture out very nicely. That ladies night, come, we'll take care of you.
Correct.
We'll give you a secure environment. Come celebrate. Every time it does not have to be couples, or every time it does not have to be like, So it's kind of even the first stage of, say, like women empowerment. That, okay, go out. Drinking is not bad.
Exactly.
Like, go party, celebrate, it's nice. Take a break from your day-to-day routine. Let's dedicate one night for them. That was one of the things. Then, when it's in corporate, we had even started this corporate night culture where we said, okay, there is so much of IT coming up in Pune. There's so much of corporate culture coming up in Pune. How do they socialize? So it tends to become like, okay, आपण आपल्या 4 लोकांमध्येच party करतो आणि त्यांच्यातच जातो. So we kept this corporate night where we said, whichever company you work for, it's like a corporate social.
Oh, lovely.
So come here and meet people from different companies, meet the different managers, talk to people, like, maybe you want to switch job.
Correct.
And then just like...
That's a very good concept.
Because that was the time when people were actually moving to Pune. That is where the migration of new people had started in Pune. How we see so many people in Pune. Locals are still the same. The bigger number that you see is all outsiders coming in. So they also wanted to kind of explore and socialize and meet different people. So if you're stuck in one society and one company, and if that's your life every day 9 to 5, and then go back home and all that, you're stuck there. A lot of people are like that who probably not met somebody who ke bajucha building मध्ये पण किती लोक आहेत आणि
LinkedIn on drinks.
Was the most nicest conversations happen at drinks. You open up, it's as simple as that. That barriers are broken completely. When you sit with a person with the drink, that is
exactly
the level you're at. You're not on the position of which corporate company you work for and what employee I am. It is sitting and talking about drinks, everything, all the barriers are broken. So it was a nice culture. That way it was there. So all these aspects we started very openly speaking about. That drinking is not bad. Just come and celebrate. Dancing is not bad. Just kind of let that energy out. It's nice, just unwind from a hectic day or whatever it is. I mean, that's why we see like even gyms and all these things, people are exploring different ways of just putting your energy out. And it was a nice way. You unwind and you go back fresh next day to your work. So those were the things that we were trying to explore at PentHouze.
Amazing. So coming to Raasta.
Yeah.
Because that was something that changed party because people didn't want to go to those permit bars.
Right.
Because that time places were like this only.
Yeah.
It's a bar.
Yeah.
Where all the guys are there.
Yeah.
Okay, something thoda sa shady.
Yeah.
But there was no place for people to, socially, culturally just chill and...
Yeah, just casually drink. So so it was directly like, okay, fine. Now again, so there was a little story that happened basically before Raasta. I mean, I won't highlight that so much, but basically that was the phase where we had a drift with the partner. And PentHouze was going through the first ever rough phase.
Okay.
That, some clashes started happening within our partnership and, over various reasons. Because like I said, I mean, if I actually now focus on the business aspect, this is very important point that I would like to make.
Very important.
Is that, yes, this industry does attract a lot of investors, does attract a lot of people to enter into this business, but it is not an easy business. Right. It is very tough. You need your full-time attention and you need to have some passion for it.
Correct.
You can't just be a business.
Right.
So somebody who's investing in money only for the returns, it's not the right business to invest. I'll be very honest.
Right.
You have to like the product, you have to be passionate about it, and you have to understand the business. That's where the clash started happening with my partner. That returns ka kya, aage kya, what's the next stage, how are we going to just stop here, what is the thing and stuff like that. Then a little bit decision making started getting confusing. Correct. That I would say this, he would say nahi aisa kar de.
Right.
He would come from the business angle of it, I would come from the long-term vision angle of it. I would come from, so I always saw in this business, money was always a byproduct.
Right.
You get somebody on the table and entertain him and let him have fun, he'll spend money.
Correct.
If I keep throwing offers at him, if I keep throwing spend money, he'll lose the charm of the place. So that was a little bit of a vision thing and we had decided to part ways.
But how are you handling this? Why? Because, starting something with your vision, your partner had shown interest first, primarily. And then, making that decision that, maybe this partnership is not working.
Yeah.
Because because partnership, as they say, is like choosing a spouse.
Yeah, 100%.
They go where you will go.
Yeah,
right? So it is going to be a bumpy ride.
Yeah.
And that generally causes conflicts. Such as talking like, mostly people don't talk. If there's a bad phase out, right? After if you don't end it on a good terms. Yeah. Because that tends to lose out people. So how did you handle that along with this?
No, it was very tough. Honestly, we went through this phase for more than 6 to 8 months. Okay. And that started drastically hampering my business. I could not focus. I could not confidently. I mean, every day I had this fear of I might lose this place any day. This is not working out. Right. And I started losing out the confidence on interacting with my guests. You know, the PR started going down and everything. It started resulting in like drop in business also.
Correct.
And it came to a point where we had to sit down and talk that, boss, this is taking both of us down. Now, either you take this ahead or I take this ahead. So we both are clearly not working. It's been 6 months. It's not working out. Your expectations out of this are now a little different. And mine are with this, but alongside there is something else also. So it can't, basically what was happening is that PentHouze was becoming a brand.
Yes.
So I had started thinking way long term for that multiple outlets, chains, all of these
Multiple cities
and all these things. And for him, it was always that opening one restaurant. I want to open one restaurant.
Achha.
So that class started happening. That I said certain things we have to focus to just build the brand.
Correct.
Not every investment is only returns. Not every investment is कि 10 रुपए लगा तो 12 रुपए मिलना ही चाहिए. Some things will stay because we are creating a long-term brand.
Exactly.
And those conflicts where we had to sit down, and in that phase, Raasta came. In that phase, I was like, I can't focus on this. I'm losing my independence to take decisions and do this thing. I can't now take decisions the way I was taking initially. So I said, what do I do? And I didn't want to lose my confidence in this business at that point. I said, because honestly, at that point, it would have been like make it or break it kind of a situation. Correct. I would have been completely out of this business at that point. And I was ready for it. But I used to go back and again reflect on like how it started, where it started from, why I started this business.
Like looking back, I'm so far.
So always asking questions to myself about these things and stuff like that. And I said, okay, I'm not going to do it. Let me do the toughest thing what is possible. And just to see whether I'm actually good or not. At this, or was it just a fluke, or was it just a luck, or whatever?
Just being alone in the sea.
I said, let me just do whatever it is. So I spoke to my brother and I spoke to my dad and I said, I want to start my own outlet also. This partnership is there. They were aware about what was happening.
Correct.
And I said, it's not kind of working really well. So I think I really need to get out of that negative space and do something. So dad said, no, I'm not taking a chance with whatever and stuff like that. So I happened to talk to my brother and we had this back space in Shantai. So which was not utilized. Yeah, it was never utilized. It was just a backyard kind of a situation and stuff like that. I said, let me start an outlet here. He's like, Kunal, idhar kidhar chalega? We are in Raasta Pit. City mein. And talking about doing something like what Korega Park is asking for, or Kalyani Nagar, all these things. I said, what is the cost? What is the cost? We have the place. I said, whatever I can put in, I'll put in. And I said, all the rest of the time is just time. No, I'll give the time. Don't worry. Let me see what I have to do. At this point, even one of my managers who used to be very close to me, and he was also a little unhappy with this whole thing. And he's seen my journey. He was one of my first employees. So he's like, sir, let's leave this. Ye karenge resolve penthouse. I'll work on that project. Karte kuch. So I said, okay. Then we came up with this thing. Literally, it was out of a complete experience. I said, I don't want to really go aggressive. I'd learned a lot of things of what I said, do's and don'ts about investments in F&B business. So I said, let's go really rock bottom. I went to this furniture shop and said, this guy used to be a big supplier of furniture for all the restaurants. I said, तुम्हारे पास जितना भी extra बचा हुआ है सब restaurants का वो मेरे को दो. So he's like, ये इतने का ऐसे इतने का नहीं, मेरे को 50 सीटर रेस्टोरेंट बनाने का है. जितना भी मिक्स रहेगा सब दे दो. Directly tell me one price. I said, I'm not looking at the stuff. Whatever is your extra, which is your dead stock, just give me all of that. He gave me this 50-55 seater का space and everything. It was all different colors, different types. कुछ wooden था, कुछ metal था, कुछ क्या था. I picked up all of that and I put it in Raasta in the back. I said, now what do we call this place? So back in the time when Shantai just started, it used to have a coffee shop.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was no name to the coffee shop, but it was just written there that coffee shop Raasta Pit. So I said, I'll call it Raasta Cafe.
Raasta Cafe. It was more like with the Rastafari.
It evolved like that.
Yeah.
The name started from there. And I said, let me call it the Raasta Cafe. And we started. Because earlier we didn't even know whether I want to do a standalone or uska kuch identity banega. I said, okay, ye Shantai ke andar rehne wala hai.
Yeah.
And obviously again, like I had way more restrictions than PentHouze also, because this was within my existing property.
Right.
And my dad, me and my brother, we all sit there every day. So there was a lot of check on it ki don't do anything that disturbs everything else.
Correct.
So I said, okay, let's go back to the origins, Raasta Paid, Raasta Cafe. Luckily, we had this YMCA across this thing. There was a artist logo group who had come to paint the city. They were doing random walls and street art and everything. So when we were setting up, they came to Shantai.
Acha.
And they saw us working at the back, laying out the furniture and everything and stuff like that. And Raasta Cafe and everything was written there that we were going to call it Raasta Cafe. He asked me that, Kunal, these walls, can we paint it?
Wow.
And he had the same question, that is this Rastafari and Rasta? I said, okay, that's a new way to look at it. He's like, can we paint it for you? I said, yeah. He's like, tomorrow the whole team will come and we'll just paint all the walls. And they actually did the whole art and Rasta.
Trippy.
It was just a random thing that whoever felt, there was no much synchronization also. The 3-4 people, everyone picked one wall and they did it whatever they wanted to. So somebody did this whole superheroes and these politicians on one side with the mad character ka face in the middle.
Correct.
Then somebody had done like this early man ka one evolution wala. Yeah, that thing was there. So that's how this whole thing happened and we started this Raasta Cafe.
Amazing.
And luckily, with the PR base that I had and everything, then I started telling people that I have this one place in the city. Where is Raasta Cafe se chalu hone ka? I mean, where is Raasta Pet? Nobody knew all these places. So slowly, and that became the thing.
So now we've heard about triathlon. We know that you've done, I think, 3 triathlons.
3, yeah.
And so just break down triathlon for our viewers, because we know that it's a most excruciating kind of a competition.
Right.
Where there's, I think, swimming, cycling and running.
Yeah.
So how did you get into this and what was that motivation? Why? Because पहले तो रात्री झालं होतास, आता तू सकाळी लवकर उठतोस.
Yeah.
So how was that shift? And please give us triathlon.
Yeah. So, like you said, triathlons, 3 sports, swimming, running and cycling. So basically, living in the city and we've seen this city growing up. And, in COVID overnight, we just realized that how fast it's grown. When we had to stop, when it was growing, we didn't realize.
Right.
Things are coming up, everybody's hustling, everybody's in that zone of let's try and make it as soon as you can. And everybody wanted that achievement phase. And it was going on all over the world. Until COVID just happened and everybody had to stand still.
Yes.
This is probably the first time it's happened, or rather in our lifespan, this is going to be the only time something like this actually ever happened where the world at the same time was shut down. So I think that gave a lot of people a time to reflect, on what's happening in your life.
Right.
Where are you heading? What are you doing? Today you've stopped. Some people have had a good break. Some people have had a bad break. Some people have kind of completely shoveled and restarted from there. So major changes have happened in people's lives, in that phase. And I think even for me, that was a good time for me to sit down and reflect on what I've been doing for the last 10 years. By then, it had been 10 years of me working in this industry or any other business that I've been doing until, since the time I was born, that was the first time I was jobless, doing nothing, no studies, no work, no nothing. You're just waking up and sleeping. Went on for more than 6 months in a stretch. So that was the time I said, now what next? First we realized first month it was fun. Second month it was, we don't know what's happening. Third month, people started shitting bricks. Yeah. 4th month, problems started coming up. 5th month, you're thinking about solutions. And then 6th month, it was like, Dada, what do you do? Because, by then, 6 months was a long time for me to shut down my business. Now I had to either wind up or, decide something major.
Correct.
So that was a big jhatka, and I realized that yes, I have to shut down all my restaurants. By then I had reached 11 restaurants, 4 Raasta Cafes, 2 Penthouze, 1 Coco, Pesto Pesto, cinnamon, 2 cinnamon restaurants, which was Indian restaurants. And I said, now everything has to shut down because staff had to leave.
Right.
Rents were due, so I had to decide whether I let go of the places now. Investments were put in that had to be let go of because properties were not maintained anymore. Nothing was happening. So there was a major loss booking that was to be done. And I said, okay, let's accept it. It was super tough. And after that, it was just like, now what? It's like starting from scratch. But I said, yes, now whatever needs to be done henceforth has to be sustainable. I cannot. Now let's accept something like this can happen in any form, not COVID, but any other reason. Individually, if it happens to my business and if it shuts down,
Correct.
you can't, let this happen again. Because age was passing, that whole spark was gone, like that tiredness that kicked in, that you have to do this all over again. So something majorly was shifting in me. And I just said that I'm going to start living my life a little differently. I've been rushing. It was a lot of running around. Now I'm going to slow down and take each and every step very thoughtfully, mindfully, and genuinely something which can be sustained, because I need to like it now. I need to be able to control my situation. I cannot let it be on other people's mistake. And to start thinking that, I used to be like, okay, what do I do? How do I kind of bring things out? I was never a meditation person, or I didn't know how to do all these things. It was just too many things running around in your mind. And I was like, I need to kind of reduce this anxiety a little bit. It's kind of, kicking in. I'm constantly, if I'm sitting idle in the house because of COVID, I'm only thinking about that. I need to stop thinking now, and I need some new things to evolve out of myself. And some answers, questions that I had, I need that answers. Like, what do I do?
Right.
So one day I just got like, what? I'm not going to be sitting in the house anymore. I said, what do? I woke up in the morning. I said, I've been seeing sunsets. I'm going to start seeing sunrises now. That was the first change that I did. I said, sunsets, everybody, every day, all over the world get to see. Sunrises, how many people see? I said, that's the first change I'm going to do. So let's try and see as many sunrises as I can. So I'm going to get out of my house. I should take the bike and start cycling. Sometimes I started at 4 in the morning. Sometimes I started at 5 in the morning. I have to keep cycling till I see the sunrise. Sunrise happened. I used to have some coffee somewhere and come back home. That became my routine. So I asked another friend of mine, and do you want to join it? I'm doing this. And 2-3 of my friends started joining me, and we really started enjoying this thing of like getting up in the morning. The energy in the morning was different. People, there's nobody. You have the road for yourself, you're cycling. And we just didn't realize randomly we used to end up doing 50-60 kilometers of cycling in 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever, And it was nice. Then, things started adapting. I was kind of, after that cycling, my rest of the day was very peaceful. Like, it was not so stressful. Anxiety levels were low. More like, body was also tired, so guys to get good rest. Food diet started happening. Like, everything started automatically falling in place. With that just one change of waking up early and getting out.
Right.
Life went on. COVID started opening up. Okay, so we've spoken a lot about business, but yeah, really, we started restructuring our things. I said, okay, I know I have to start again. I'll start one at a time. So I opened my first 2 outlets. I opened the Raasta Cafe. Places which were probably on rent, we left it on the side. Places which were owned, we reopened first. We started doing. But I didn't want to miss on what I was doing in COVID. That thing was something else of getting up in the morning and getting out. But vehicles started coming on the road, so it was not like before. But I said, now, okay, what do we do? So during this course of cycling around randomly, we met some other cyclists who started speaking about cycling marathons and triathlons. And one guy had exchanged me this number of my coach, Kaustubh Radkar, and he said, just talk to him one day, see, So I said, okay, I don't want to go back to the gym. It was a big gap, and I said, I want to do something more purposeful now.
Right.
So I called Kaustubh and he said, okay, come over, let's have a discussion. We sat and he explained me about this triathlon IRONMAN competition, which is like 4 kilometers of swimming, 180 kilometers of cycling, and then a full marathon, 42 kilometers. So I said, boss, what is this? This is not a sport. I think this is like punishment, torture. Ki tula ta hi kara lao tumi, So I said, but how is it possible? He's like, don't think about this. Just do the same thing that you were doing in the lockdown. Get up and come. I'm sending you the plans. Basically, earlier you all were just cycling and running randomly. Now I'm giving you a plan. Just follow that. Do exactly what you were doing in lockdown. I said, okay, let's continue. Another friend of mine joined me for this. He said, okay, let's do this together. He should send us a plan. Okay, today 5 kilometers run. We finished the run, did the coffee. Tomorrow 20 kilometers cycle. Okay, we did the cycle, coffee. And this became the motivation point that let's meet up.
Yeah.
And in this course, I started realizing that my last 10 years I'm meeting like completely different people, and this I'm meeting completely different people.
Correct.
Like, the conversations were different when I met people over a coffee. People who came from a run or a workout or whatever at 6 in the morning and 7 in the morning. Before the whole, probably like 90% of the population wakes up.
Yeah.
You're like out there and done that. So, these people are different. And I loved the conversations. It was more, productive conversations. Really like talking about yourself, like, why you doing this? What has made you get up in the morning and so your experience started coming in. The best part was that age was not a limit. We used to meet 60-year-old people also, used to meet 40-year-old people also, and that was just something that I started opening up to this new world of looking at people, that it is not by their profession, it is not by their age, it's not by how much money they have, it's just about who the next person is as a human.
But is it true that the most successful people wake up early and they are into their highly disciplined life?
A lot of these Instagram posts and all these conversations talk about this. It's very glamorized, but I feel it's a very simple theory. That, it's just that when you wake up in the morning at that time, basically the energies are different because 90% of the people are sleeping. So there's no gardi on the road. Obviously everybody has energies throwing out, vibrations coming out. So you just see like everything is just clean and calm. Second is like, basically waking up in the early morning at that time, you're alone. You're not talking to yourself. So you get a lot of me time.
Me time, correct.
You start talking to yourself, you start asking yourself questions you probably don't get to ask yourself.
True.
Or because you're not at peace. The minute it's 10 o'clock and you're out to work, you're always around with people.
Right.
So how much do you get a chance except sitting in the toilet to talk to yourself? Apart from that.
So where are we talking in the toilet? Yeah,
abhi sabko wo bhi aadat lag gaya phone ka, and people who are married have always a partner in the room or whatever. So how many times do you actually get to sit alone?
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, that if you start talking to yourself, that's where everything inside you will come out. And when you club it with a physical challenge of running, cycling, or doing something physically, trust me, the magic is it brings out everything automatically. I'm telling you, if I tell you to sit here for 1 hour and do nothing, you'll start getting restless.
It's impossible.
Don't talk to anyone, nothing, just sit here. Imagine you have to do that for 2 hours, you have to swim in the water, you're not talking to anybody. You're cycling for 6-7 hours, you're not talking to anybody. You're running for like 42 kilometers, it's a challenge. When you're practicing also, you're not talking to anybody. So in that course of time, when you're training for a race like an Ironman, for 6-7 months when you're doing this, there's nothing that kind of, is left unanswered inside you. You know yourself exactly of who you are. There is no lies in it. And I think that is somewhere where the success lies. That if you try to be as transparent and honest to who you are, it'll reflect in your work, it'll reflect in your relationships, it'll reflect in people you meet on a daily basis. And I think that's probably the key to success, that it is sustainable. You don't have to act like you're somebody, you don't have to put on a facade. Trust me, that will not last, but being who you are, being out every day is the best thing to do. So your employees, employers, everyone, there's no pressure of anything. This is how I am. If it doesn't accept you, you'll automatically move somewhere else. You will not take it also after a point that why am I sitting under this pressure? Because now I know who I am myself.
Yeah.
Do I want to accept it? So all the answers are there.
Yeah.
And I think this journey I didn't leave after that. Kostup trained us. He said, okay, fine, Kunal, looking at your performance is decent. You all can do this race. I'm putting you on a race 6 months down the line. Train for it.
And where was the race happening?
So the first race we did was the half Ironman, and it was in Estonia. So I said, great, a nice way to travel. Travel, everybody's traveled everywhere now. Traveling is more accessible. But how many times do we go to a country which you don't know about?
Exactly.
So I said, this is a nice way. Race bhi ho jayega, travel bhi ho jayega. Let's do this. We didn't ask any questions. We just started following his plan. We started training. And then every day when he started increasing our plans, it was interesting to see your body performing that. It was a nice challenge to accept every morning when we woke up and said, okay, आज 10 kilometers भागने के बाद उसपे 50 kilometers cycling करने को बोला है. So, let's see if I can do it. Yeah. Because normally as a fitness, we have a very stereotype plan.
Right.
These things, when he fluctuates things, it was surprising to see like how your body reacts to it and how it's nice. And then even what has happened one day before, you're tired, you're stressed, everything, it still pushed you to get up in the morning. It still pushed you to get up. Now, challenges come in every person's lives, whether it's again family life, relations, or work, or everything. How do you know when to give up? How do you know you've given your best? Trust me, this taught me that. Kostup told us this only. Forget the timing, forget, everything else. Just finish what I tell you. Your goal is to just finish.
Okay.
No questions asked. Just finish the workout I give you. Trust me, maybe that's what I'm saying in my work as well. That I give up today saying, okay, it didn't happen. But how do I know if I've given 100%? So let's focus till I finish, I'll try it.
Correct.
Till I achieve what I want to, or till I cancel the plan. But that thing has to end. Then I'll accept that it's over. I think that's the reason why, maybe I'm still continuing. It's been 3 races and I think it's going on.
But how was that experience when you completed the race? Like,
oh, it was amazing, man. I mean, so the half one we did was very well prepared because it's the first time I'm doing it. We had a team that was doing the race with us. So it was nice to go to the new country. We met a lot of other athletes from all over the world. It was very motivating. We started the race. But honestly, like I said, it was the first time, I was doing it. And 6 months I felt was a little short for me to train for it. Because before this, I've only been a gym person.
Right.
So I've never done cardiovascular exercises or this thing as a proper workout. This was the first time. The other people who trained with us were almost a year and a half training and everything. We did it in 6 months.
Right.
So the race was tough for me, super tough for me. What happens on the race day, you cannot ever predict.
Yeah.
I jumped into the water. The water was super cold. It was in an open lake. And I started getting cramps in the middle of the water. And trust me, I didn't know what to do. Like in a swimming pool, you can just hold and stop. Correct. Here, I'm seeing another 1.5 kilometers in front of me. There's no going back. And I'm getting cramps and everything. I didn't know what to do. I mean, this was it gave me flashbacks of a roadblock in business also. Like I'm left alone. What do I do? It's like, what do I do? This is survival problem now. I literally had to just turn around and lie down in the water openly like that in the middle of the race. Okay. Because if he asks for help and stop, you're out of the race. So, I was like, what to do? And then did that for 30 seconds. I felt a little better. Started moving slowly. I literally came out of the water 2 minutes before the cutoff. But I came out and I was like, oh my God, thanks. I'm out of this. Let's focus. Got on the bike, started cycling around. Luckily, this route was not so tough. Yeah. It was pretty much a flat route. So it was not pushing too much. I was getting my cramps, but I was still getting a chance to relax my muscles and move ahead. But eventually, till the end, while we started running, then we saw the rest of the team cheering for us. They had all finished the race. I was one of the last guys to finish the race. And, them cheering, kind of pushing you and everything, and you feeling boss, there is support.
Yeah.
You feel a lot of times you're alone in life. It matters. Right? But yeah, I think it's something that you have to see. There is support around you always. We generally we ignore and try to kind of keep ourselves very reserved. We have to do it. And always feel that what will people say, they'll judge. But if you ask for help and you look around, there's always support. And I think that's something that got me to the finish line. So it was such an amazing experience that I don't think today, if you ask me, how many races I'll do, I don't know. When will I stop? I don't know. I just want to continue doing this. It's amazing. So since we did this half race, the next challenge in front of us was always to do the full one. Yeah.
So halfway and full was the kind of difference.
So there are 2 races, basically half Ironman, full Ironman. So half is 2 kilometers of swimming, 90 kilometers of cycling, and a 21 kilometer marathon.
Okay.
And the full is exactly double. So it's 4 kilometers, 180, and a full marathon, 42.
Wow.
So then, obviously that became our next target. So I asked Kaustubh if I will be able to do it. He's like, Kunal, learn from your previous mistakes. See what has not happened. Hydration was a problem. Stretching is a problem. You need to do a bit of yoga with it. All these things and stuff like that. So we kind of took a break. We started training for that. I gave another 6 months of training with the same routine and everything. And the best part was by then people started asking me these things that, how are you doing this?
Exactly.
You're into nightlife. How do you manage? And I said, boss, it became a choice to me. I'm not missing out on anything. That missing out happens when, you want to do that, but you're not been able to go. Here, now I'm feeling like my priority, I want to do that. That gives me more joy than this. So there is no pressure of waking up in the morning. It automatically happens. I sleep to wake up in the morning and I say, I'll do this. And then the excitement was the next race was in Italy. It's a full Ironman. That's a bigger challenge and everything. We started preparing for that, and we went to Italy for this race. The bigger challenge was that this time the swimming was in the open waters in the sea. So it's high tide, waves, there's current in the water and everything, plus the salty water, plus 4 kilometers you're swimming in the deep sea. So that was a different challenge. Then the cycling route of Italy was 180 kilometers was really tough because there was a lot of hills up and down. You're technically crossing cities in 180 kilometers. It's like going from all the way from Pune to beyond Bombay.
Right.
So that's the kind of, so imagine where you're going to find just such a flat road for that, right? It's always up and down. So that was one of the toughest cycling routes I've cycled on. Finished that. Then I was so dead that I came to a point where I said, now I don't know if I'm going to finish or not, but I'm just not going to stop. And I could see a 42-kilometer marathon in front of me after this. I'm like, oh my God, like what am I doing? We started this thing. It had already been 9 hours, 10 hours that we were already on the course and everything. I said, okay, chalta hai, let's go ahead. Then, like I said, run is the time when you start seeing your colleagues and everything, running around and all of that, because sometimes it's in the loops. So we started seeing people, then they're good supporters. They're like, okay, come just follow me, don't leave me. Like be my tail, like just come run with me, karte. I think I must have ran about 30 kilometers, 10 kilometers I must have walked, but I finished that race. And it was like the biggest achievement that I've felt, that, doing a full Ironman race.
Wow.
Was amazing.
Amazing. So Kunal, we were talking about Ironman. So there's this question, I mean, a lot of people say this. Is it true or not? We're validating now. Is Ironman, is triathlon a rich man's sport? Why? Because they say there are no medals, no winning prize, and they are not organized in India. So you have to go outside country, and I think the cycles and all are very costly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is it?
See, I wouldn't really say, I wouldn't put it in that category of rich man's, because honestly, if I just had the money, I will still not be able to do it. So it's not that. It is about making choices. Yeah, we travel abroad anyway, right? I mean, it's no more about being rich or not. It is just about making a choice about how you want to travel. Okay, do you want to just go back again and again, do the same things you go and do in a different country, or you want to explore it in a different way? So that's a choice that you need to make. Maybe initially, you have to get a bike and it is a little costly, but it is as good as you investing in an iPhone or whatever. Right? Every year you change your iPhone. You don't do it for 2 years, you'll get a good bike to start cycling. Yeah. So I wouldn't put it in that category that it's a rich man's sport. And traveling, like I said, make a choice.
So which bike do you have?
So I use a Canyon.
Yeah. And why I'm asking this question is because you had bought your first bike in UK, and there was a kissa that bike. So
I've spoken about this previously. Yeah. Oh my God, so that was me back in 17 years of age, when I didn't know actually, because in India it was not expensive. Back in UK, the cycles were very expensive. So I had bought a second-hand bike which had costed me some 20,000 that time, and a basic bike, and it got stolen the bloody first day.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the hell? माझा life मध्ये actually तर age wise पाहिलं तर सगळ्यात मोठा loss त्या age मध्ये overnight 20,000 रुपये म्हणजे असं गेले. ते पण म्हणजे सेकंड हँड सायकल घेतली म्हणजे it is like savings करून, okay, I'm not wasting money, I'm not being a spoiled brat. I literally bought something which I found value for money, and something value for money goes means it's a loss.
It's a loss.
So I think, that
bike to this bike has been
it's a journey,
yeah. So now what we so now the question is that doing Ironman, doing triathlon, right? How has it helped you in your business?
Oh, so I think completely correlates. Being an entrepreneur, I don't think it's an easy thing, honestly, because it does put you in all conditions,
right.
Whether it's emotional situations, financial situations, responsibility, doing business and you have a lot of staff, their problems become your problems.
Right.
So many things. So I think being an entrepreneur is like conditioning yourself in all possible ways, and you need good health also for it. I think Ironman race or a triathlon is also similar, because it kind of, these three different sports covers you with all conditions, whether it's, swimming in the open waters. Actually swimming in the open waters is different magic.
Yes.
It kind of works very differently mentally on you. Like, you don't know where you're going, you kind of, how far you have to go, gauging the distance is very difficult. So sometimes you just go in that trance where you're just moving until you reach to that point. So technically, a lot of times you have this situation in business that,
Correct.
You're stuck in that loop.
Correct.
Of where am I going? My business has been stagnant. It's always going up and down. Am I, in the right business? There are 100 questions you'll ask yourself. That do I continue? Should I stop here? Should I change? And I think that correlates there a little bit, where I think doing these couple of races has given me a bit more confidence that giving up easily is not an option. Keep pushing. I think everybody reaches the end at some point.
But getting this discipline, was it hard initially?
Yeah. I think it is very, very... so this is a good point you said, where business and this sport, discipline is the key. I think in business also, what I've learned over the period is we do kind of take a lot of spontaneous and aggressive decisions sometimes.
Right.
Very ambitious discipline, sometimes with the trends or sometimes somebody else doing it. But I think having discipline in business is something that anybody can tell you that it will sustain you for a longer period. And so is with the triathlon training. So race is the fun day. What gets us there is the discipline. Training and getting up and doing the same thing every day is where 99% of the people who wanted to do a triathlon or Ironman race and didn't do it is because they didn't do the discipline pattern. It is only the discipline. To wake up at 5 in the morning and to do a physical activity, you need enough rest.
Yes.
That means you have to go one day before and finish your night routine, sleep on time, get enough rest and get up fresh in the morning to do the workout.
Right.
You can still get up, but not do the workout if you're not rested enough. So discipline is the key in this, boss. 100%.
Last question, Kunal. What advice would you give to Kunal Mhaske if you could go back to age of 21?
Right.
What would you tell?
I think honestly, at that age when a lot of people have future anxieties, future plan anxieties, and you feel like, okay, I need to do something. I don't know, for some reason, at that age, everyone is put in that situation that, boss, kya tere aage ka future ka kya plan hai? Where I today feel that there is a long way to go. That is not the age to worry about your future.
Right.
I think from then you should start just exploring life and doing a lot of trials and errors in your life until you come to a point, even at 30, to realize actually what you want to do. So don't worry about your future at that age. Don't worry about your career at that age. Even you wouldn't be able to guarantee that, okay, after 5 years, is this the same thing you want to do? So don't take that tension at that age at all. Just go with the flow, follow your passion, do what you like, and I think you'll get to the right goal eventually.
I think Kunal, this has been an amazing podcast.
Thank you so much.
We've talked about the restaurant business, the nightclub, the triathlon. So I think this has been a complete package. It has been like amazing motivation for us and inspiration to talk to a person like you, because this really will motivate a lot of our audiences.
Thank you.
And I think this was a wonderful podcast. Thank you so much for coming.
It was my pleasure. In fact, it was nice, and I can share this on a platform like this that you have.
Absolutely.
It's amazing to share it.
Thank you so much. I need you to look into the camera and ask our audiences to like, follow and comment.
Like, follow and share the page. It's amazing. And honestly, I mean, this is a great platform to participate on. So be as active as you can and share it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.